This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve here in Lawfield in Southeastern Mpumalanga. This afternoon, we have Andrew on camera and Johan. We have Andrew as a guide this afternoon and Johan on camera. And this is how we're going to be taking you into the safari, looking at beautiful elephants feeding right here. Welcome aboard to your very own safari through the African bush. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve here where we're sitting with the beautiful elephants feeding. And my name is Andrew on camera. I have Johan. So this is how we're planning to take you on a safari live. And it looks like it's actually nice, beautiful elephants to begin with feeding. That's how all the mother of the young one there. Actually quite humid today, which was the temperature for the day 32 degrees 90 Fahrenheit, where most of the animals, especially with the elephants, they wouldn't really like to go around the watering hole afterwards and then maybe wallow in there or swim, or sometimes freeze in the shadow, eat as much as they can. It's so much grasses that it's already green. Remember, everyone, we're coming to you live from this location, so your questions and comments will be welcomed. Send them through kids questions at wildearth.tv, also on hashtag wildearth, also at FC, as well as wildearth.tv/explorer. Those of you who haven't been a part of the show or haven't actually been part of us, you're more than welcome to go to our website and sign up, that we can be able to have access through the questions and everything that you wanted to know about these wild animals that we're at right now. I'm not sure. Looks like she's probably draining some water under the ground where it just rained for sure. It could be that maybe she holds quite a few water on her trunk, where they usually can do that. Rare, but they can hold the amount of water that they might sometimes feed up through their trunk when they need it. We're looking at the female most here, where this is actually easy to tell. Every time you see a herd where females and their young ones, and that's how you know for sure that you're looking at a breeding herd of elephants. So I'm gonna stay and put here just to see if the whole herd crossed this road while I'm linking you to Lauren.
Good afternoon. Yes, both Andrew and I are speaking today. Isn't it wonderful? Marcel really is a hero. My name is Lauren. I do have Simon on camera, and we are off to a bumbling start here in Djuma. It's very humid. Almost feels like there's no air to breathe. Blue sky here, strange sky here, and it's very, very humid. Lots of moisture in the air, so we all feel nice and sticky, which can only mean the animals will feel very sticky as well. So we're hoping that if we do a bit of a water hole check, we may get lucky. I am really desperate for a leopard now. I've been having the most wonderful hyena interactions, most wonderful bird sightings, including flamingos, reptile sightings, but I'm really missing leopards. So I know that Hukamuri is in Arathusa. Tiani's on Simbambili, but very, very far west, where our signal does not reach. And those are the only leopards I know about. So I'm going to go south, down into Chitwa, and see what I can find for today. Hopefully we will get lucky with some spots. So this morning, in between all those wonderful insect segments, I went round all the hyena dens. Zoe's den, nothing is happening there. Galago Shortcut Den has also collapsed, just like Gwen's den, for those of you that are interested. Aubrey's den, nothing's happening. In Vubu, something's happening. Someone's living in there. It's freshly dug, but I can't tell who. I don't know whether it is a porcupine or whether it's a hyena. Because I'm thinking if Intima really is pregnant and she's not giving birth yet, the birth must be coming soon. So I did a large den check this morning, so that's my update. But I think maybe in the evening, it'll be good to check in Vubu den again. I feel like I'm missing a den here. Possibly not, possibly that's them all. And yes, I think going to Vubu, maybe when it's a little bit later on, maybe in the dark, to see who's living there. Leanne, it depends what animals you're referring to. Animals is a word that describes everything, from your tiny little mosquito to your large male lions. So normally the mammals that are covered in hair genuinely tend to not be active. It's far too hot and sticky and they will avoid the heat. But then animals like reptiles, they need the heat. They're solar powered. Oh, I've got a fly on my cap. They need to sunbathe, get the rays. If they get too hot, they just go into the water or seek shade. Whereas insects, they also need the heat. They're also ectothermic. Their little muscles need to be warmed by the sun, so they will not become active until the sun comes out. So it really depends what animals you're referring to. But for the predators, at least, hyenas, wild dogs, leopards, lions, they will hide from the sun. They will seek shade. They don't want to dehydrate or lose far too much energy. But there's a nice breeze picking up, and that's what I'm hoping for because it's feeling rather sticky. Now, if I'm really not lucky with leopards, which I hope that's not the case, I will check up on the actual hyena den at some point. It's too hot right now, but when it gets a little bit cooler, because I really want to see June at the den once again and try to spot Corky. Heart and ribbon appear to be there all the time. I've seen June a handful of times, but not corks. So the more we go, the more we can learn and more we can sort of establish this hierarchy. Who really is at the bottom? Is it Corky? Is it June? I don't know. I originally thought Corky, but I'm possibly changing my mind on that one. Okay, we're arriving at Treehouse Dam. Aha, I see you, Warthog. I see you. Let's see if we can catch that Warthog. No, they've got little piglets there with them as well. Maybe if we get round, we can get a few of them. Bear with me. Okay, Simon, are you ready to try and get these warthogs? Okay, I'm just going to drive really slowly. The warthogs here are notorious for being incredibly skittish. Does that work? Okay, let's try. There's more of them. There's a family over there, but we can only see one. Now, Tommy, I think you were asking what defines an animal as a predator. Predator is a term for a carnivore. So, oh, You're not shy at all. Once again, the animals have proven me wrong. Just when I thought it was going to run away, it's now decided to have a little mud bath. That's how hot and sticky it really is when you just want to put your bottom in a mud bath. It'll be very effective in keeping this warthog cool though. Not just the water, but the mud as well. So sorry, Tommy, you were asking what defines a predator. It's an animal that naturally preys on others. So it's carnivore. Carnivores that eat other species that are slightly higher up that food chain. And therefore, our main you have apex predators, then you have predators. And the natural, oh, that's so sweet. There's 4 of them. And the natural role of a predator in an ecosystem is to control all the populations of prey species below them. Normally they prey on the sick or the weak or the old, and it's helping to control populations, believe it or not. A landscape with no predators, or where you eliminate the predators, there will be massive knock-on effects. And these sort of prey species, the herbivores, will become out of control. So that's a sort of ecological role. And a perfect example of that, believe it or not, is Yellowstone. So the wolves that were eradicated because they were thought to be sort of vermin, or they're damaging, they're eating too many animals. By eradicating them all from Yellowstone National Park, it completely upset the balance of the ecosystem. It had a really negative impact. So wolves have actually been reintroduced again. I think it was in 1995. And they were reintroduced in order to help control the elk populations again. Because the elk populations they increased, went out of control, and this had a knock-on effect on all the woody plants and the entire vegetation in the area. So it threw the entire ecosystem out of whack. It didn't have a positive benefit on anything, and therefore they reintroduced them 70 years after eradicating them. So that just shows you as one example of the role of a predator in an ecosystem. And there's many predators of the warthog. Sam, you're asking about the warts, and that's one of the ways that we actually tell the difference between male and female warthogs, believe it or not. And they're not actually warts as what humans know warts to be. Oh, look at that on the right. That's very sweet. Now, they look like warts, and that's where the name warthog came from. Hog meaning pink, but it's actually just bony protrusions, if you like. Sorry, I can't take my eyes off this adorable scene. This is the sweetest scene of warthogs I've ever had. They're so relaxed. We, of course, are at the other side of the dam. The 4 little piglets, normally they run, at least here in the Sabi Sands. So yes, it's just bony protrusion. So it's part of their skeleton. It's just bone sticking out and then covered in skin and hair. It's not actually warts. That's so sweet. There's 4 there, am I correct? I've not counted wrong. Be perfect prey for the leopards that I am potentially looking for right now. A really, really easy snack, a little wart pig. Now, Rosalind, you're asking how many piglets can a warthog have? And I'm actually just checking for you right now because I'm not sure. Let me check in the book. I will get that answer for you. Aha, finally found the page. 2 to 3 on average. I could have guessed that. But yes, my book says 2 to 3, but that is the average number. I regularly see 4. 4 seems to be a really common number out here. Anyway. And of course the survival rate, I'm afraid, is really not very high. When you look at the tusks of a warthog, they're sort of weapons of defense. The ones that you see are actually not the ones you have to worry about. It's the ones that you don't see. On the lower jaw, they're hidden inside the mouth. They are incredibly sharp, and those are the ones that will cause serious injury if a warthog was to run at you. And they're basically modified canine teeth that sort of grow out sideways, if you like. And the upper tusk, the one that we can see, can actually grow extremely long. The lower tusk, the dangerous one that you don't see, doesn't grow as long, but they're incredibly sharp, and they sort of sit in the, well, upper jaw, if you like. So it sits perfectly in the mouth. But when a warthog opens its mouth, they are absolutely blade sharp. And females only have a single pair of warts. So we were talking about the warts, and I'm using that in quotation marks, the bony protrusions, and the males have 2 pairs. And that's really, without looking at the genitalia, how you tell the difference between male and female. I can see the weavers getting active, Simon. I think the warthogs have disappeared. What we're going to do is just... Oh, okay, they really have disappeared now. We're going to just go forward a bit and check out my favourite birds. Hard at work. I have not had a fantastic, spectacular sighting of weavers yet. And for some reason, they've taken up this tree, and I don't fully understand why. So you see this tree, Simon, with all the sort of baubles hanging? The yellow birds, that's the weavers. Now, normally they sort of hang their nests above water, and it's protection for the young. Not many predators have access to those nests, or at least terrestrial predators. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Now it's far away, but they're still active. Look at that. A male hard at work. Aerial predators would be a different story, but it keeps the young safe from terrestrial predators. But this particular tree, why they've chosen it, I do not know. It's in the drainage line, but there's no water, which is rather peculiar. Can you hear them? That's the weavers. That's the males vocalize, and not only do they display physically, they vocalize. They work hard at building their nests, woven so intricately, fit for a purpose. Can't be easy. They must spend a lot of energy during breeding season, which is exactly why they choose summer. Because they use so much energy, they need to stock up. Winter would not probably be the best time for the weavers to go into breeding season. There needs to be plentiful food around, water. I think this is a southern masked. I'm not getting the best look at it, but insects is their perfect and most favoured food. any kind of insect. They will supplement with plant nectar and seeds, but of course there's insects everywhere right now, which makes it absolutely a joyous occasion for the weavers. You see their red eye, and the mask, it doesn't go high into their forehead, if you like. It's cut off just above the eye. That's normally a key feature of the southern masked. The lesser mask has a bigger mask, which I still can't comprehend to this day. They don't need Tinder or Bumble or any form of speed dating. It's right here. You just make a nest, you get it all. Hanging upside down, defying gravity. Look at that. Now the nest designs actually vary, and they're very adaptive. So the reason they vary is that they want to minimize the detrimental effect of parasites getting into the nest, which could essentially destroy the eggs. Oh, there's one right here, Simon, much closer. This tree is that tree that way in the distance. It's very, very far. I can't really see with my naked eye. So just at about 11 o'clock, there's a green one, a fresh one. Yep, just hanging there. And there's a male inside. The one up here. There you go. This is much better views. Yes, it's a southern mask. And this is a very fresh one. Look how green the grass is. I couldn't really see what was happening in the other one that far away. But yes, they want to minimize parasites, and they also want to create a sort of suitable microclimate for the parents and the developing offspring. So design is very, very important for these little birds. Ah, what a fantastic start. So I'm going to continue my bumble, and we're going to send you guys across to Marner to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to and Beyond Gala, where we've just stumbled upon two buffalo bulls, the one in the shade of the quarry there, and one just standing staring at us. My name is Marna, and with me behind the camera this afternoon is BK. So we are actually, this afternoon we're planning on heading to the waterhole. So on our way there we found these buffaloes just feeding in this little marsh here, and what a beautiful sight. There are quite a few of them there. At the moment we can only see the two in this gap that we've got here, but on the way in at least 5 or 6 of them laying around. It's a really, really hot day. It's very humid as well. So it looks like there's a little pan next to them. So some of them might be there. That's also why we've decided to head to the waterhole this afternoon. If we're this hot, then the animals obviously also feeling the heat. So the way we can tell this is a male is if you look at this one's head, notice the top of the horns, so right on top of the head, is quite a large, well, it's really big at the top there, so we call that the boss, and the females don't have that, so it's usually flat there, and they have a layer of skin, and it's quite hairy as well with the females. So all males here. Normally when you see a herd like this, it would be the bulls that either can't compete in the larger herds anymore, they get kicked out and they form these little bachelor herds, or sometimes, you know, during the wet season, these larger herds just split up, and you find that the bulls will form little bachelor herds just so that they don't lose condition. And then you'll also see the bulls together. Now these guys, most of them, been having a look at them, and most of them look like they're in quite a good condition. Like this one we're looking at on screen now, you can see the tips of the horns still quite sharp. So there's definitely still a chance that you could compete if you had to rejoin the larger herds. Keeping an eye on us. Baby, what's the difference between a Cape buffalo and a water buffalo? So water buffalo, I believe they're in Asia. So the Cape or the African buffalo is the one we find in Africa. Now, as far as I know, the water buffalo is a more docile, if I can say it like that. They're not as temperamental as the African buffaloes. These guys, yeah, they can be very grumpy, especially these bulls. You really don't want to walk into them. So on foot, this is not something you want to necessarily encounter. Yeah, the water buffalo also, I think, slightly lighter, like almost grayish in color, whereas you can see this guy, he just stood up for us, so you can really see him quite nicely. They're very dark, almost black. I don't know if you saw now, but on his side he had lots of dried mud, so he's probably wallowing a little bit earlier. Getting a nice look at him now. Quite an intimidating stare they have. Always looks like you owe them something. Jerome, are their horns made of bone? It is indeed. So the horn is actually, it's almost just like an extension of the skull. So it's bone with a keratin sleeve over it. So you can see the horn is black. So that's just the keratin on top. And at the moment his horn's it looks like he's been rubbing his horn against something. So it looks quite dirty. There might be a little bit of mud and dirt on there. Sometimes you'll even see that the horns look red. So you sometimes see them rubbing their heads against like trees and shrubs. And then the cambium, so the inner bark on the trees will come off on the horns, and the horns will look red. But I think he only has, that's only dirt, mud maybe. And those horns are used when they fight. So these bulls, when they fight for dominance, they run into each other and they clash horns, and it sounds like a gunshot. It's really, really loud. Oh. I don't know what spooked him there. Harold, does a wet nose on a buffalo mean they're healthy like a dog? I'm not 100% sure. I think most of the buffaloes I've seen had wet noses, I'd say. And it's also very hot and humid. Like I said, they're in like quite a marshy area here, so they've been in the water. Yeah, I believe so. These guys look fairly healthy to me. I'd say they look well covered, and like I said, they're in a good condition. So I'm going to go with yes. Licking the tail, trying to chase the flies away. Moonbeam, if a horn breaks, will it grow back? Unfortunately not. Sometimes when you find these larger herds, you often see a buffalo with a broken horn, and yeah, unfortunately it doesn't grow back. So if they've got a broken horn, that is how they will live out the rest of their lives. So it won't break, it won't grow back, unfortunately. But most of these ones that we're looking at, they've all got Very healthy looking horn. Johnson, how do you tell the age of a buffalo? Well, firstly by looking at the size. So these ones that we can see here, they're all quite big, so we can tell that they're mature, and the fact that they're in this bachelor herd also tells you that it is mature males. Normally, you know, the older animals will have a little bit more wear and tear. You'll see cuts in the ears. If you look at the horns, sometimes, you know, they might have broken horns, or the tips of the horns might be blunt. Or they start losing the hair as well. The fine black hairs on their body. And also, with age, you know, these guys, because they often wallow in the mud, after they've done that, they'll go and scratch against a tree. And what happens is their skin in those areas where they usually scratch themselves, it starts cracking. So you'll find these white patches on the older buffaloes that are slightly cracked, so then you can also tell that it's an older animal. But generally out here they might live to maybe up to 20 years. I wonder if you look at the one on screen now, it looks like he's missing some hair on his rump there. Vikram saying they look so nice against the green backdrop. I agree, Vikram. That's the beautiful thing about summer, is that these animals just stand out. I mean, it is a little bit harder finding animals because it's very, very thick, very lush. But when you do find them, you know, it's a photographer's delight. It really, really is nice. They look beautiful amongst the green grass and stuff. Oh, there's a little oxpecker on his back. Have a look at that. So, let's see. Looks like a yellow-billed oxpecker. And like I mentioned earlier, it is quite hot. So you can actually see the oxpecker sitting with his bill open there. I think he's also feeling the heat. So Right, so I think we're going to continue. We're going to go see what's happening around the waterhole. And I think Andrew's also around a waterhole, so we'll see what he's got for you.
Thanks, Mary. So we got this beautiful herd of elephants right in time in one of the northern dams. It's called Chitwa Dam. You know, they're already, some of them, but, you know, as you can see how wet they are, and they are just kind of like enjoying the water, since the temperature for them, it actually was slightly too much. So it looks like this is how they're going to be maybe moving around just after they have drinks. So my name is Andrew, and I have Johan on camera this afternoon. So this is how we're going to be taking you to the safari live. And it looks like these elephants for now, they kind of like there, it's kind of like a mixed herd, yeah. Well, not a mixed herd, but we've got a males, we've got a females, which are young males that have actually joined, and not the one that we saw when we started. And of course, it looks like with some of the young males that they were right in front of this whole herd. And what I witnessed here, some of the herd have moved far from here, so they have left some of these one, and it's kind of like a all split up herd, which this one they might actually sometimes keep up with the rest of the herd wherever they have gone into, but I believe that they have actually moved north from these directions. The temperature today, you know, it was slightly up, you know, 32 degrees 90 Fahrenheit. For such an elephant with such a massive body like this, for them to be able to stand, feed in this heat, they're so lucky that everywhere they go, it's a puddle of water, and they were able to just do what they're doing right now. They suck water into this trunk, but they have such a massive oxygen which they blow this water that's stuck in the trunk, able to blow this mud in over their body. While they do that, it's kind of like well sprayed up the whole entire body. Wherever it's a young bull elephant, that kind of behavior of, playing, fighting, it's just like playing. It's not a serious fight, which we see here. These are two young bull, probably around maybe 7 or 9 years old, and just playing around. It could be more than that, probably 12 years old. So mainly young bull, they well separated. When they separate from their mother, Sunshine, yeah, I agree. You're very much correct there. It's actually a nice herd, especially with the elephants, seeing them getting into the water hole. And I always say this, sometimes you will never get tired of watching this creature, which they always have a lot of something to do, feeding, but also when you look at this young one playing with the water there, they already know how to use their trunk. That's maybe over years or year old. Trying to get up to that hill, keep up with the rest of their parents, which they already vanished into that wood. So some of these young bull, it's not a problem for them to come and join the herd over here. And then they were hooked up with them. Eventually they will really get tired of, herd. They move so much. And they don't really like to be mixed with a lot of males, which these teenager males, sometimes they can cause problem here. Sometimes they don't actually play very well with their sisters and some of these young ones. So that is the only time the mother will know exactly. They don't have to be in a group anymore. So the mother would push them off. All you see, once they started to move off, it's very harder for them to understand why they're not allowed anymore. So what you see, they always right in the end, if they ever heard move through, and then you wait enough in that area, you all see all these young male, started to approach from way distance across, follow the herd. But every time they get close enough, some mother won't really allow them. They were just gonna, growl, and a lot of noise is gonna happen in that area. So this is how we know for sure they're not accepted anymore. One of the slightly bigger bull than that we saw playing there. Those two actually, even the one on the right, those are the male. The one actually had a broken tusk. The one on the right, but he's already moving far from us to be able to see that. That happened during, pushing over a tree down. Mostly fight. Males that do that, a lot of fight. Well, less fight for the female, but then a lot of fight for the male because of the dominate situation has to take place. So all we've seen here was all different, young animals, and they're slightly big and medium size. And they breed throughout the year. They're not actually strictly seasonal animal breeder. So I'm gonna move slightly east from here, check around if possible of maybe a leopard track that we're going to follow. See if we get lucky for everyone.
Right, so we've just stopped and we had an eagle. It is right above our head. It's circling above us, so now it has disappeared. I was saying earlier about how thick the bush is at the moment, and you can see by looking at what we're framing up now that it's really, really thick at this time of the year. So you can see in the distance there, those big puffy cumulus clouds. So it's very hot and humid, as I said. So there's a good chance that we might be getting some rain in the next few days again. We're going to continue to the waterhole and see what we can find around there.
We have just this second arrived at Chitwa Dam, and it's very nice and breezy down here. I'm going to take a look at the dam, see what's going on. Sabui and her two lovely little ones are on Little Gowrie, which is wonderful for Little Gowrie, but not for us. But at least I'm starting to locate and pinpoint where all the leopards are. It's hard when you have no idea where any of them are to even begin looking, but once you can start to pinpoint where they are, where they're moving, you can slowly start to keep tabs on them. I'd really love to see Sabui and her Sabui and her two little ones. It's very quiet around the dam. Even the hippos are quiet. But you can see this dam's still very, very full. I've never seen Chitwa Dam get empty. One of my favourite places, my favourite lodge. We've got some waterbuck over there, Simon. A gallon of waterbuck. I can't remember which one of you suggested that, but I love it. You can see them all just selectively sitting in the small patches of shade. It's the emblem of the Sabi Sands, the waterbuck. The waterbuck was the chosen one to represent the Sabi Sands, and rightly so. They're magnificent. And their coat does secrete an oil, as many guides say, but I really don't believe it deters the predators whatsoever. It does have a pong, an odour, but really, you will see predators. From lions to leopards, if it's a small waterbuck, to wild dogs. I want to say hyenas, but hyenas will eat almost anything, feasting on waterbuck. So even if there is an oil, which there is, but even if it's really smelly, it will absolutely not deter the predators. But their hair is very shaggy. And how on earth can such an animal survive in this heat? Yes, they seek shade, but is that really enough? Well, they're equipped with their own mechanism. So although the hair is very, very shaggy, it's hollow. Just like a polar bear's actually, it's hollow hair. And this helps them lose heat and prevents them from getting just too hot. Prevents them from storing the heat inside and allowing them to release it so they don't overheat from that shaggy coat. As handsome as they are, waterbuck males are actually the most responsible for deaths between males, believe it or not, in antelopes. Craig, they probably don't like each other very much. No, I think it's to do with the shade positioning. If we actually take, I'm not sure if Simon's going to be able to twist this far round, but we have actually got 3 or 4 males, I think, sitting together. So it's a bachelor herd. I think they're just maybe having some alone time, those other ones. Everyone needs alone time now and then. Maybe they're meditating. Possibly one of them's a bit too gassy and the other one thinks, They're just enjoying the shade, enjoying the day. They're too hot. It's very hot. Yeah, the Woodland Kingfishers wherever you go. We miss that sound. It's very iconic of summer in the Lowveld. And during winter we think, the Woodland Kingfishers, we miss them. And then as soon as they're back and they start chirping away at 3 in the morning outside your bedroom window, you think, my goodness, why did we miss them? As beautiful as they are. P. I think it's P and not B. But either way, yes, there's crocodiles. Let me see. I'm going to get my binos out. The hippos over there are having a bit of a tantrum. Just give me a moment to scan. They're very camouflaged, but I would imagine in this heat, the crocodiles will be out basking in the sun. But yes, there are resident crocodiles. Very, very large ones. And I just can't happen to see them at the moment. The Nile crocodile. Co-inhabiting this space with fish, which they prey on, and the hippos. Ooh. I think it was Tristan, as far as I can remember, had a very upsetting sighting here, where a male hippo, one of the bulls, was acting very territorial and he actually killed a small newborn hippo. It was very sad. I guess he didn't kill it straight away. He injured it so severely that his 4 legs were broken, so it wasn't able to move its legs. And of course, hippos can't swim. They are buoyed up in the water, and they're sort of bouncing on the sediment at the bottom. And this hippo ended up rolling ashore because it couldn't keep itself up in the water, and it was actually a crocodile in the end that took it under. So crocodiles are very opportunistic. They will take any opportunity that comes their way. But they primarily feed on fish. And there's lots of fish in this dam. Big fish, including catfish, tilapia. But even though they cohabit this sort of water body with the hippos, when that youngster was struggling, the crocodile seized that opportunity. Okay, I think we're going to scratch around this dam a little bit longer, but we're going to send you across to one of the tallest mammals at Ngala.
All right, so we have left our herd of elephants moving into that wood. So since we continue along the boundaries to see if there's going to be any tracks of either leopard, specifically the leopard, that I think would be great for everyone. But now we stop here with this a spider, whole nest over here that you can see. It's belonged to it's called communal spider. Communal spider are a whole group of a spider that they all, build a whole nest. And then what you see there, it's all over. Some of the stuff are very much dark, browny and things like this. So over these years, and they only come out. You won't see them right now. All you see that's hanging outside. It looks like yesterday was a lot of flying termites, which all stuck in there. It's the only reason they put this nest, to be able to caught their prey. And then once they have to feel any sort of vibration if there's not much wind, especially at night. And this is where they can tell that there is something outside trying to, get away from the web. So the web is very sticky. Once even a beetle can caught in that, or even a small bird, it will be very hard for that bird to be able to fly immediately again, because then it's like a glue kind of sticky things that the chemical they use to actually able to build their web. And this is actually their own technique they use. And without doing that, they cannot actually be able to caught anything to feed. And they come out at night, the whole group, each nest, depend how big it is sometimes, can be anything like each of them, possibly 100, 70 or 30 in number. And they work together that way. They're so small little creature. And they fit in these little holes. And then that's where they disappeared. And there's got to be a lot of colony in there. When they decided to come out, I was actually expecting to see any of those, showing their heads up, because any time a temperature rise places, and they stick their heads out for their little cool off, or to check if it's any more, especially was a little wind. They can get confused. They won't tell if there's anything caught until late at night when they get out and check, patrol the web, and repair the web, which sometimes can break or damaged. And their main job is to actually get out at night, make sure it's well repaired, and that it's ready for the next caught again or next hunt. So flies would be stuck in there. This termite fly that you see stuck in there, actually the flying termites are well kind of like oil on their body. And it's a lot of juice. They would prefer those most. But not every time they can get these one, because they only come out just after the rain, and then dusk and dawn when these humanity take places. Then they escape from the termite and they fly around, and that's where these bee eaters and bats, they will have a lot of food for themselves in that night. Where I believe in this humanity, they might actually see some of these mounds well covered with these flying termites, and they're trying to move out. It's only time you see a lot of eagles land, and you see a lot of even sometimes a lizard, and those hyenas. Sometimes they spend a lot of time, feeding on these flying termites. But could be, I'm not sure how old of these nests it is. I've been seeing this quite a number of times. Every time it's there. And it's always well repaired. If it's broken, the web has been damaged, because sometimes wherever walk here, elephants, giraffe, or those browsers, they can sometimes disturb the web. John, so you want to know if these spider venomous or less venomous? They can bite, but they're not venomous spider. The communal spider, they're not venomous at all. So there's a certain few species. Those ones are very harder to find. You more likely find them when you pick up very, dead logs and things like that. They more come out at night, but they're very shy spider, those ones. There's all button spiders and zig spiders and those type. And they're hardly to see, especially during the day. And they're never communal, so they kind of are solitary. Sorry. So they're kind of like very much solitary creature, which a female or a male would move independently, different way. So, but they also play a very important role in the wild. What you see stuck in there, it's insect, but also some of the parasite that can sometimes give a lot of trouble to wild animals, such as mosquitoes, buffalo flies. Those would be stuck in this. And that's why I remember of the older days where older people used to, look for the specific nest, and then they cut that nest, put into the room, which looks scary, but then that's how they would get rid of the mosquito in the room. So I would be sending you over to Ngala.
So we've reached the dam, and not too much happening here, but we have found some white-faced whistling ducks you're looking at on the screen right now. Really nice to see them here, because we do have quite a lot of Egyptian geese around the area and they tend to chase away a lot of the other water in the area, so nice to see that there's something else around the waterhole. They've got such a beautiful call. I think there was one. Here we go. Listen to that. I don't know if you can hear. Some more of them coming in from the other side. You can see them just walking along the edge of the water, and it looks like they're picking up either little insect on the edge there, and they usually feed on insects, maybe seeds or any aquatic vegetation, but I doubt that that's there. It's probably insects. Geese you can hear in the background there, and then there's also a hippo just behind them. Egyptian geese flying over. There we go. Oh, and another one. I kind of wish I was them right now. In this heat, they must be loving the water. I've counted about 5 of them, and looks like there's all. I think that's the little one on the right. Good now. Listen to the hippo. Have a look at how pink the ears and the eyes and the nostrils are. So they've got really sensitive skin, and if you see a hippo out of the water, you'll notice that the bellies and the insides of the legs are also pink. So they've, like I said, really sensitive skin, and that's one of the reasons why you see them in the water during the day. Helps them stay cool. They also don't have any sweat glands, so it helps to be in the water on a hot day like today. There was a giraffe that we saw earlier, and it seemed like he was heading down to the water, but he was moving very, very slowly. We're going to sit around the waterhole for a little while longer, see if that giraffe comes down, and we're going to send you off to a different location.
Good luck. Hopefully it does come down there to drink. And then now we find zebra. Plain zebra or Birchall zebra. Looks like there are 3 of them. And they're sometimes very hard animal to be seen, especially when it's here. It's very dense bushes. They're mainly move away from here. And it's so cool that we've been seeing, I think, already a number of them. It's because the grass is still kind of like medium. Some open patch is still wide open. The grass is still quite short for them to be able to love it again. So zebra, they were always healthy animals because of, they like horses or donkey. Both canine, bottom and top, they would have teeth, which allows them to feed on any of the short grasses is available. And even sometimes you see them mixed with wildebeest, which they often do that. They love doing that. Where they're going right now looks like they're going to mix with the impala, where it's even a lot safer. Trust one another that way, where everybody is aware of the danger in this open area. If it's any approach, which mainly would be lions or a cheetah or a leopard, even the predators so small compared to them, they still worry too much. They'll warn the other animals. So I'm going to carry on and leave this zebra. Also, I'm going to be I'm going to be sending you over Lauren on search as well.
Well, we have found not quite zebra, but also stripy animals for entirely different reasons. Zebra stripes are said to have lots of functions, actually, including thermoregulation. But these kudu here, the function of their stripes is to help them blend in. And it works remarkably well, even to the human eye. It just breaks up that body outline, so when they're hiding behind the vegetation, you could easily drive past them. And that's exactly what they're hoping for, of course. And it's called disruptive markings because it's disruptive to the body, the outline. There's lots of kudus around right now. Lots of very relaxed kudus as well. We see an influx of kudu in spring when the knob thorns start flowering. And then they disappeared for a little while. But they're definitely back again. Now we've got some behind us that are actually... I wonder if I can reverse, Simon. I don't want to disturb them, but they're actually lying down on the grass. Hello everybody, don't mind me. Okay, there we go. Very relaxed, adult females, youngsters. I don't see any males at the minute, but I'm sure there's a male lurking nearby. Very aesthetically pleasing animals, aren't they? Just stunning. Start, you're asking what is their lifespan? Well, the males don't live as long as the females. So on average, and this is very much an average figure, of course. Oh, what did they hear? It's because we're talking about their lifespan. The females normally live to about 15 years in the wild. This is no reflection on captivity. And the males live around 8 to 9 years. And this is because males fight, just like lions, just like leopards. The males, filled with testosterone, they will battle, they will fight, they will injure themselves, they will just weaken in condition as they get older for that reason. So that's the lifespan of the kudu. You will find kudus alone, maybe not females, but you will find bulls alone. More of a solitary existence, but generally kudus are gregarious. They like to be around one another, just like impala. It's not such a strict social structure, but they really enjoy just being in the presence of other kudus. Especially if there's lots of yummy food around, they'll all be there. Ryan, most antelope species, as a sort of rule of thumb, if you like, they give birth in the summer season. And just like the predators, really, they time it so that it's not like impala, it's not a strict breeding season, but this is when the food is plentiful. They're browsers. They browse leaves. Now in winter, it's such a different landscape here. It's almost barren. Yes, the evergreen trees retain their leaves, but other than that, the deciduous trees drop their leaves, the grass dies, the flowers wilt. There's nothing. The landscape isn't really even green. It's a monotonous, sandy colour terrain in front of you. Such a stark contrast from what we're seeing right now. And because they are browsers, leaves, they will also eat fruit, flowers, and grass, but new grass. They're very, very fussy about grass, apparently, so they can graze. But this all comes with summer. So they will time the births of their young to coincide with the summer season, so that there's a plentiful sort of range of food for their young. But they don't have a strict breeding season like the impala do. So that means that they mate in winter in order to give birth in summer. They have a gestation period of 9 months, exactly the same as humans. So they've got to time it in winter in order to give birth in summer. And it's not just for the young to have food, it's also for the lactating mothers. Lactation requires a lot of energy from any mammalian mother, and she needs to keep her nutritional requirements up as well. So I believe the sort of average month where you see most kudu calves is February. But it's not a sort of lamb dropping birthing period like the impala. It's quite staggered. But it's always in summer, and I believe February is the month where you will see the most calves. They're very alert right now. I wonder if it's our presence or something else. Hello, beautiful. Your makeup is on point today. That foundation completely works for you. Stuck in bed. Hello, you are asking how many babies will a female have in her life. So a female can give birth annually and she will only have one calf, really. Now, if she lives till about 15 years, that's quite a lot of calves in one lifetime. I'm just not entirely sure what age they become sexually mature at. I would imagine around 2 years or so, but I will check that out. So you've sort of got to do the calculation for when they become sexually mature and they're receptive. They'll obviously start mating with the males, and from then on, they can give birth once a year. I will check when their sexual maturity age is for you. Stuck in bed. So the bulls don't start producing sperm till 18 months, according to my mammal app. So that's a year and a half. Silver Ghost, you're saying they are so cute, aren't they? They're stunning, exquisite. Look at their facial markings, their features, the coloration. So a male can start mating at 18 months, which makes me think a female will just be a little bit later. boys normally start courting and mating a little bit earlier than females. So I'm going to say around 2 years old for females when they can start reproducing successfully. The ladies have just crossed from Juma into Torchwood. Crossing the boundary that we never used to be able to traverse. I think we're going to lose visual of them now. Okay, let us bumble on and see what other exquisite animals we can find on our journey. I'm actually looking for flies. Yes. So in order to find flies, I'm going to have to find some dung or poop. Hopefully not scat. I'm hoping for elephant dung. But yes, I want to find some flies. We're going to go into the biology of flies today. Don't get too excited, everyone. Don't get too excited. I know the housefly is a riveting animal. But it actually is when you learn about it. Sorry, I'm going to avoid turning around. I'm getting blinded by the sun here. So that's what I'm searching for, flies and leopards, of course. There's no updates so far, I'm afraid. But I think waterhole checking really is the way to go today. I'm very curious where Miss Kalamba is. She was spending a lot of time in Juma, the bulk of her time in Juma. There's just no signs of her. No female leopard, no Mufasa Ingwe tracks have been called in the usual sort of haunts that Kalamba traverses. I can't possibly think where she is right now. But I would really love to catch up with our princess. Are you excited to film flies, Simon? Yeah, okay, yeah. Insect biology is incredible. And I think it's really important that we also educate everyone on the smaller critters too. So as I bumble along and try to find some flies for you all, we're going to send you down to Swallow to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to Swallow. Currently we're staring at a puddle, so for the majority of our morning we've pretty much been stuck at home with heavy rains, and so far we've experienced some 70 millimeters of rain since last night. Just to get that in perspective, the Kalahari itself generally only receives between 100 and 400 millimeters of rain in a whole year. So live from Swallow is myself, JP Leroux, and behind the camera, we've got Davy. So generally, when we look at the Kalahari, it's a pretty dry environment. So in general, when we look at the Kalahari, it's a pretty dry environment. But currently you can see that it's incredibly green. So this year, our rains have actually started much earlier. Some years that I've worked in the Kalahari, there was periods where there was no rain for almost 2 to 3 years. And quite often what we also find is that certain farms won't receive any rain at all, while your neighboring farm might be so fortunate to get a whole 700 millimeters for that year. So what we do find is that a lot of the animals within the Kalahari ecosystem has actually become specially adapted to dry environments, such as our gemsbok, which has the ability to go without water and obtain most of its moisture from plants such as melons and the roots of other plants. We also find that these animals can adapt to incredibly dry and warm environments by tolerating temperatures of up to 45 degrees Celsius and then shedding that temperature throughout the night. Some of the other special adaptations that some of these animals like the gemsbok has is a system of veins which is known as a carotid reed, which is basically a counter current system which cools down blood and then effectively cools down the hypothalamus and allowing the animal to tolerate much higher temperatures. Hi Dizzy, you're 100% right. It is a very wet desert at the moment. However, technically, the Kalahari is not a true desert. It's actually an extension of a savanna biome. So it's precisely the same biome as what you see in the eastern half where the other, such as Pinda and Juma is. However, it just receives a far less amount of rainfall per year. Hi Glenn, just to answer your question there, the landscape actually does not hold water very well. So if you look at the soils in front of us, they're quite coarse and sandy, and they drain fairly easily.
Right, welcome. We are in the eastern parts of the reserve at the moment, and this morning we actually found some lions in this area. So it's been raining for the last few days, so we haven't been able to off-road for a few drives. And it seems like these lions have moved off. They're probably just in the shade somewhere here. But on screen at the moment you can see there's a vulture. Now, what you're looking at there is a hooded vulture, and even if BK just said that he spotted one of the lions. I'm just going to reverse a little bit. Just tell me when you can see them there, BK. All right. Oh, good spot. There they are. In the shade. Forward a bit. There we are. Just taking it easy in the shade. So it seemed like they had a wildebeest, a young wildebeest this morning. And when we arrived, they were fairly close to the road, finishing it off. So they moved off just in search of some shade in the back there. There's one of the white ones walking in from the right, the young female. Now that vulture that we were watching in the beginning, those are the only vultures that kind of come down when the predators are still around. So you can imagine these lions laying around here after having a big meal. You can actually see how full that white cub's belly is. And they'll be urinating and defecating in the area. And what these hooded vultures do, it's quite gross, but exactly what she's doing now. So the hooded vultures will come down and they'll actually feed on the scat of the lions, which is a horrible thing to imagine because I've driven through lion scat before and it smells horrific. It really is a horrible thing to smell. So any of you that have been in the bush and that have smelled that, you'll know. So imagine eating that. You can see them all panting. They've got full bellies and it's really hot. All the food in the belly pressing up against the diaphragm combined with this heat is making them pant like that. We're actually really lucky that we're seeing them walking around like this. I would have thought that they would be on their backs with their legs up. And this female heading straight towards us. I think we'll spend a little bit of time here and just see what they're up to.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
My name is James Hendry and I work here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands on the western fringes of the Greater Kruger National Park. My favourite part of getting questions from viewers is that we get to have long and varied discussions about all sorts of different aspects of nature. Because our audience comes from all over the world, it's very special to have different perspectives from everywhere. If you want to submit a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to the Live Safari page and submit your question beneath the live feed.
Hello everyone, my name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide and most importantly the questions that you ask give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
Sadly, the pool party is over, but the wet elephants are still having lots of fun. The fun never ends when you're around water. I can only see 5 elephants, but we're at Woodland Dam. And they were having a splish-splash when we first arrived. You can see elephants look so much darker when they've been in the water. It's adorable. And they can swim. Elephants are great swimmers, completely comfortable in a water environment. Not only does it feel great, and they have the best time, they're actually good at swimming. There's 3 youngsters. There's a mother standing watching, not too far away, but these are 3 youngsters just having an elephant of a time. Oh, are we going back in? I would. No, we're just going to have a splash. You wonder how any of the dams have any water left. Now, not only will this lovely breeze that we're feeling help cool them down through evaporative cooling, they can store the water in their wrinkles. No Botox for elephants. And that that water that stays in their skin will help cool them down for much longer. It stays next to the body. Oh, are you going to jump on that one's back? Are you hitching a ride? Yes, gorgeous elephants. It's so lovely to see them in water. You can just tell they're having fun. There was a point in science quite a while ago, around the time when Jane Goodall started all our work with chimpanzees, where they were very stringent and not anthropomorphizing, and going so far away from anthropomorphizing that it almost became so abstract. So now there's a nice balance. There's actually a spectrum when it comes to anthropomorphizing. And I think no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, you can honestly see that these elephants are just having fun. In no way, shape, or form can anyone deny that. So this is round 2 that we know of. Butterfly, yes, you're saying it's a beach party. It's a great party. It's a party that I really want to be part of right now. I'm so hot and sticky myself. I would absolutely love to be in the water. Maybe not Buffelshoek Dam, I must say. There's a lot of elephant poop in that dam. And hippo poop. Not sure if you can hear the vocalizations over the wind, but they're vocalizing. Jared's saying you can hear it a little bit. I wonder if we're going for another one. That is a wonderful book that states, are we smart enough to know how smart animals are? And it's wonderful. And it talks a lot about anthropomorphism, and it states it is only really problematic, to be honest, when the human-animal comparison that you're making is such a stretch with regards to species that are very, very distant for us. And I'm going to give you an example of the Kissengoramis. Yes, they're fish. And they don't really kiss. They are not snogging, shall we say. I don't know if that word is correct or not, but they're not actually kissing, showing love, affection, passion, as humans would do. They actually sort of put their mouths together in a way to settle disputes. So if there's aggression between these two fish, mostly males, they'll put their lips together to settle that. So by labeling it kissing, that's definitely anthropomorphizing, because it makes you think that they're in love and they're having the best time. But they're not. They're trying to settle disputes. It's aggressive. So therefore, the word kissing is wrong. But apes, for example, they really do kiss. Maybe it's not passion, but it's... Okay, I think what I'm going to do is just reverse here, Simon, because we are in the elephant's pathway. It's important not to block their pathway, so just let me get out of the way and we'll watch them walk past. But yeah, apes really, really do kiss, and it's a gentle sort of touch to each other's mouths. So when you label apes kissing, then is it anthropomorphizing? That's not such a stretch, is it? But to say that the fish are kissing, well, that really is. So there's a whole spectrum, and it's really species specific. I think I've done a really horrible job of parking here, haven't I, Simon? Okay. We're going to watch them walk by. We just can't. It's really important that you don't block an elephant's pathway. And of course, when they decided to come on the dam wall, we were positioned right there. So we parked at a really horrible angle. I've done a terrible job, but they're coming. Led by one of the big moms. Look at her. Big swollen mammary glands. And the youngsters in tow. Hello, I know, I'm sorry. I moved out of the way for you, sweet. Now, when we talk about the spectrum... Yes, I know. We've been watching you. Have a good smell of our smelly car, that's right. Now we're going to feed in front of it. Yeah, just to finish off that thought, the opposite end of the spectrum from anthropomorphism, why did they have to make that such a long word, is anthropodenial. And that's when you, oh my goodness. That elephant just sprayed dung on me. Okay, we're having a bit of a tantrum here. You didn't notice us when you were swimming, though, did you? So anthropodenial basically means that you deny any human emotion, any human-related feeling that we have in our daily lives to an animal. So it's human-like traits. We completely deny that they will be, it's a complete rejection that they will be present in animals. And I think that's also quite dangerous waters. Though anthropomorphism, I'm getting tired of saying that word, and anthropodenial have an inverse relationship, if you like. They are complete opposites, and that's why it's quite a good way to think of it as a spectrum. I personally think anthropomorphism is a good thing, as long as it's not like the kissing gorimus and is exaggerated and not a true reflection of that organism. I think it's a good thing. We are mammals after all. Okay, from my great big grey pachyderms, we're going to send you across to the apex predator at Ngala.
So it sounds like the elephants at Juma are already putting up a show there. I kind of wish that a herd of elephants would come through here so they can chase these sleeping lions up. As you can see, they're all flat, just sleeping. They have, however, walked slightly closer to us, so I think they ran out of shade in their previous spot. So they all just came to a bigger patch of shade in front here. There's the one in the back there. He'll probably also soon get up and join the rest of the pride there. But like I mentioned earlier, they've all got full bellies. You can actually see that from feeding on that wildebeest this morning. And we were here briefly. It was hard to see because they were amongst the grass and the shrubs, but there was a lot of fighting going on, a lot of growling. They were not being very nice to each other. You can see there are quite a few lions around here. And especially if it's a small carcass, and there isn't space for all of them to feed around the carcass, then they can be very nasty to each other. Then it's just survival of the fittest. But at the moment, you know, it's almost like they're laying on top of each other, partly because there's only so much shade, but generally after an episode like that, you'll see them laying quite close together, just to strengthen their social bonds. Again, at the end of the day, you know, they still a family and they still live in a pride together and hunt together in a day or so again. So this is very important. Even though to me that looks very hot at the moment, I wouldn't want to be in that pile. If you look at the grass just behind them, you can see there is a slight breeze that's picking up. So I'm sure they're really enjoying that. We sure are. There's one of the Ross males just off to the right. You can just see the mane there, and I think it's only the one that's here at the moment. Not sure exactly where his brother is. And then we know there are two other females that are also not with the pride, and they are denning close to one of our camps. And we believe that one female will be giving birth very soon. So we're going to be making space for a few other vehicles also coming in to see the lions. We're going to continue and potentially head back in this area, to this area a little bit later.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Tswalu. Currently we're watching a springbok, one of our which is our national antelope and also the emblem of the famous South African rugby team. So the one that we have over here is a ram, but is on his own. So quite often what we do find with these rams is once they've set it up a territory, they will very seldom leave their territory. Even in the driest parts of the winter months, they will still stay and basically find enough moisture from the food that they can get, as well as eating tubers and roots. At the moment, what we can see is a typical territorial display. So quite often what they will do is they will defecate in the midden and then sometimes directly urinate on top of that, or urinate and then defecate directly on that position. And this is one of the ways that they chemically mark these territories to allow other males to know that they should not intrude in this area. And should they intrude, they potentially stand the risk of being attacked. Good afternoon, Hayley. To answer your question, if I do leap or run, they do run at times, and sometimes they leap in an upright position, which is also known as pronking behavior. So there's a number of theories why they will actually pronk, and one of these is to actually show physical fitness and to allow predators to know that they're actually in a good condition and that they're unlikely to catch them. What we also find is that there's another theory to this, especially with younger individuals that will pronk in an upright position more often. We're just going to reposition the vehicle, and one of the reasons why these younger animals will generally pronk more often is believed that it is a part of observing their environment and to learn to become more familiar with their environment. Just going to slowly move a little bit forward, reposition the vehicle, just get a clear view on the animal. And then I will be telling you a little bit more about the springbok. It's just a little bit of camera shy. We're going to reposition. Ah, there he is back again. So generally, when we do look at herd structures of springbok, we find them in mixed herds occasionally, and we also have all female groups, which has a various number of different age groups within that group. So normally when these females are in a reproductive condition and they do come through the territory of a ram that who finds females in a reproductive condition. He will herd them in there and then mate with them. So unlike many of the antelope species which we do find that has very restricted periods of mating, the springbok mates at any time of year, and that is due to erratic rain, just as we're experiencing a very erratic rain right at this moment. Switch off.
We've left Chitwa Dam and actually came across this lone bull. Not connected to the herd that we just saw. They went south. This bull's heading north. He's an old bull. Doesn't have the must smell. Penis is not green or leaky. And he's not streaming from his temporal glands. So we can safely say I think that this bull is not in must. And just in case you wondered what I mean by the penis thing, it's a very interesting history. Now, when they're in must, they tend to dribble urine, so it looks like they have a leaky penis, and it's quite bizarre. And it was first thought to be a venereal disease, which is a sexually transmitted disease, but in animals. And the penis sheath itself can also turn bright green, and this is called green penis syndrome. Yes, delightful. Not only that, there's a very sharp, pungent odor that comes with it. It's very strong, but I would say it's not entirely unpleasant. And of course, when scientists first discovered that and they saw the green penis, they thought, oh my goodness, these elephants are very, very sick. There's something wrong. And separately, when some scientists saw the dribbling urine, they actually thought it was a malfunction of the sphincter muscle. Now, these two specializations, shall we say, would be very, very unattractive if performed on humans. I definitely don't think females would enjoy that. But for elephants, it's very important. There's been lots of studies done since then, and females actually prefer males with a greener penis. Bizarre. It shows maturity, it shows high levels of testosterone, it shows they're in must, and it also shows that they've got very, very good genes. And it was originally documented, green penis syndrome, by a lady called Cynthia Moss in 1976, I'm sure. Forgive me if I've completely got that wrong. And they really thought it was an epidemic. They thought this disease that's spreading between all the males and elephants is going to kill them all. And slowly but surely, they put everything together. Annual occurrence. Dribbling urine, temporal secretions, heightened aggression, and increased sexual activity. Maybe there's a connection here. And they're all just reproductive signals for the female. The dribbling urine is really important because he's leaving his scent behind. Not only do the males seek out female by doing the old vacuum technique, the females also need to seek out males. He's leaving a signal, ladies, I'm in must and I'm here when you need me. I'm at your service. And as he walks, he's leaving his pheromone trail behind through the urine. So that's really important that males do that. But as for the green penis syndrome, well, it's very bizarre, but it's a reproductive signal. Also, I'm a big bull. I'm in must. I've got great genes. And must actually has sort of Urdu Persian origins, and it stems from the word mast, as in M-A-S-T, and it means intoxicated, because when scientists first observed must in male elephants, they just thought, oh my goodness, these elephants are absolutely crazy, temporary madness. And it was actually likened to the rutting season in antelopes like Impala, just madness. And of course, it's hormones and all sorts of other physiological changes that they're going through. And then slowly but surely they realised it was all connected. The dribbling, the green colour, the secretions, everything's connected, and that's what the bulls go through. Their temporal glands swell so much and press against the sort of lobes at the side of their heads, in between their eye and their ear, swelling, throbbing. It's painful. Their testosterone levels can increase by 60 times. So when you do see a bull elephant acting slightly bizarre and mussed, I think he can be forgiven. His body's going through a lot. Hello, handsome. You are just lovely. You know we're talking about you, don't you? He's definitely not in must. There's not a single sign. And the odour, you can smell a mussed bull. I love it. Not everyone does, but you can smell it from miles off, and it smells like a mixture of honey, an old leather handbag with a bit of sort of organic waste in there. It's delightful, but you can smell it. So this bull's definitely not in must, and he's quite gentle. He's very aware of our presence. He's been aware of us for some time. I think he's a gentleman. I think he's above 40 years old. Don't pretend to be shy now, sir. What a lovely sight sign. Okay, we're going to wait until he passes, and we're going to head into Buffalo Soak to see what we can find.
Beautiful. So we've done a bit of a search the boundary. And now we're static here at the treehouse dam with one of those Egyptian geese. There are often two of them here, but I'm not sure what happened to the other partner. And you know, we were doing the boundary there. We bumped on one of the guys up in the west. They were giving us the update about Tingana, that he was on a fight, I think, with the Hukumuri. And then looks like Hukumuri went back west, where they believe that Tingana must be in the Juma. So I came here to check quickly, but I'm going to go back to check in the area where I saw a lot of vehicles was off-roading quite a lot, but on a boundary, so it's quite difficult to tell where the finally tracks of him has went into. But if he's in a Juma, then we may get lucky to see him. But now in this tree, it's not actually, it's just a few birds that is moving around here, and all of those weavers bird that are actually giving a lot of calls right in the back side of us. And then I'm sure tonight, indeed, it's going to be a lot of instrumental frogs that there would be about, getting on and on. And then get on to move, and then I will be able to hunt for any flies, insects these frogs will be about, just for the reason for their own benefit in terms of the feeding around here. And they're more hideaway, but they'll probably come out once it's dark. So I'm going to go back to carry on my search, see if I get lucky.
Our gentleman here is still allowing us to enjoy his presence. He definitely has an odour, but it's not one of must. Now, I'm sure you've heard many times how to tell the difference between males and females, but why it's so tricky is because their testicles are in sight. Now, Simon, if we can just zoom in about here where my finger is. No, the testicles are definitely not there. They are away up here, inside. They're very, very high up, almost against his sort of spine. Very separated from the penis, and that's why it leads to confusion sometimes. And it was actually Aristotle that discovered long ago that elephants had abdominal position of testes. And in some textbooks, it's not used so frequently, but I see it in lots of textbooks, the word testconda. And that refers to the fact that the testicles are inside, they're up near the abdomen, so they're not hanging low down, they're very, very high up. And that's what makes it rather tricky. When you're trying to identify a mammal, at least normally you just look for the obvious. But in elephants it's not so easy, and that's exactly why. Now, must itself can start from 18 years old in an elephant. Oh, I think, yeah, Simon can smell that. Do you know what that is, Simon? That is gas. Simon just got his first experience of being hit in the face with gas. But yes, normally 18 years old, first sort of must. I know we've not got the best views, but I just want to wait and see if he turns around. But it's very unlikely that the bull will get to meet properly with a female before he's 35 years old. So that window of time between 18 and 35 is normally when you see the bulls behaving in the sort of mad way that they do. They've been kicked out of the herd, then they go through their first must, which is not a full must, it's also not a pseudo must, but it's sort of must in short bouts. And it's normally around 25 years old that they will get their first proper must. And they'll join other bulls until they're ready to mate. They can become nomadic, but it's nicer for a younger bull to have company. But it's normally around 35 years old they'll most likely get the chance to mate. Okay, he's turning around. I'm going to reverse Simon. And see if we can get a better view of this male. 4 ostrich have just been called in on the Manguleti border. So we're going into Buffalo's Hook anyway, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to catch them. They're heading north. Let me see how I can do this. But we rarely see ostriches here. They're very common in the Masai Mara. Okay, I just want to stay completely out his way. He's very gentle. He's showing no signs of any aggression, but I don't want to block his path. There you are. Stuck in bed. I mean, I'm really not sure I could possibly answer that. Any sort of imbalance in hormones to any organism would definitely have some sort of effect. Of course, you've got different hormones. The main sexual ones are your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And essentially speaking, he does have an imbalance of hormones when he goes into must. A bull's testosterone levels will absolutely go through the roof, up to 60 times the normal amount, depending on the bull, and it leads them to be extremely emotional. That's a huge increase. And they normally hide this emotion with anger. And that's normally that period that I mentioned between sort of 18 years old-ish on average to about 35 years old. It's very difficult for them to understand what's happening to them. So that really is an imbalance, if you like. But it's not caused by any ill effect. It's obviously very natural for elephants to go through that. But any imbalance in any mammal, at least, including ourselves, will lead to problems. But normally human hormonal imbalances are caused by our lifestyle, generally speaking, or by something wrong. Whereas I think it would be quite rare to find that in wild animals. The must swagger also comes from the fact that he's got all this testosterone and it's pumping through his veins and His temporal glands are swollen and they're throbbing and it's painful. So he sort of develops a swagger. You can always tell a bull in must from far away from the way he's walking. And if a female's in estrus, she can actually seek him out through his urine, through his dribbling penis. That's how she can find him. And even if she can't find him, she can start leaving her urine trail in hopes of finding him through that way. And normally the females come into estrus around 2 years old. 9 years old, sorry, give or take, 9. It's quite close to the car. He's very relaxed. His tail's not erect. He's actually feeding. He's not doing that pretending to feed shenanigans. Hello.
Does anyone know if the hyena den is active?
There you go, there's a perfect view behind his ear of all the veins. Do you see that? All the veins and arteries. That's not a view that you often get to see. An entire network keeping him cool. See that? Very thin skin. He seems to like this tree. We once had clalamba and this jackalberry. Okay, we are going to head into Buffelshoek very, very soon. But now we're going to send you across to Andrew.
All right, so we have left the dam. We come across the, looks like a whole bachelor herd of impala here, where it's always very good when you see any prey species, and then you'll be searching around for a cat. Always have a time to have a look at them. So sometimes you can see their behavior, but these ones, they don't actually look like they've seen anything yet. And the reason I'm saying that is because they don't look threatened, or they don't look running around too much, or, giving a call. So it seems to, but you never know, you spend time with this animal, eventually whatever is behind them may pop out, We can't wait actually to find that Tingana, if he's still around in this area. But bachelor group of impala, this is typically a herd where they actually form bachelor group, like this small herd of only males. And then these has come to in a time where there's a lot of time these males have been pushed off from the herd, where there's every herd around here where there's babies now taking place. A lot of impalas give a lot of baby this time, give birth to your babies. So these are still separated away from the group, and they all get used to be alone, separate from the females, where they would wait for their turn. Every season of a mating season occurred during or just about begin the winter there. And a lot of these already have gained a lot of strength. They were able to challenge the dominant male wherever he is with the harem of females. And that comes too much on that dominant male or dominant situation can change every now and then during the mating process in that winter. So they're all grooming themselves up. It's so interesting animals, antelope like impala. So they have a tooth on their below cheek where they below a canine, And then those tooth both sides, they're quite loose, won't fall off, but they hold with very strong muscle, but they're not connected to the bone structure at all. So it happens when they need them for groom themselves or groom one another, they don't hurt one another. And those tooth actually build for that reason, to groom themselves, able to pick ticks from one another. And then, yeah, they're very interesting antelope. And we're not sure, we'll all just call them McDonald's just because they're actually medium source or medium-sized food for most carnivorous species out here, where there's so many of the cats. And then they were able to hunt impalas, which impala find them so many in a group, and it was so easy to get hunted, especially during the night where it's dark and it's windy or pouring of rain. And a lot of them lost control, not knowing what they're doing, running around, because they don't understand who's coming, who's not coming. It happens they run into the dangerous, and they get killed many times by trying to run away from the wind or disturbing bushes like that. And you find impala, very shiny coat. It looks like they're one of the animal that lazy boy. So what the impala does, you see them during a rain or during a dry season, they actually go for, we've got a beautiful roller here, lilac crested roller, look at this. So when they eat pods of the trees many times, dry pods, during the winter I see them down the river, trying to get as much as they can, especially when it's wind too much, they always go down to a river where they would feed on the dry leaves. So they're a mixed feeder, they would take pods, but I haven't actually seen them feeding on like ripe fruits or any type of this marula. I know kudu can, and some other antelope like a grey duiker, but I never seen on impala for sure. So, but I'm going to double check on that. They might actually eat fruits that I'm not sure about. But animal does feed on fruits most, and then it's possible that you may find them feed even on. And then these fruits that we often buy from supermarket would be an apple, those type of fruits. They'll eat them. Those are the ones that actually feed on fruits and things like that. So this little beautiful lilac-breasted roller on its search here, just before dark. What happened, many of the flies or any of the beetles are starting to get mobile now. Those are nocturnal. The time they may come out, started to fly around. And these birds sometimes find very much attracted to those, and they forget to go to their perch for the night until dark because of the attraction of the food available for them. And it's quite nice actually, the temperature is dropping now, that we might actually start to see a lot of these flying termites all over us. And then you see a lot of frogs possibly. Hannah, yeah, it looks like it's not a full growing. Usually if it's full grown, you would see like a kind of like fork or ragged tail on the back. So this is still juvenile, it's still like a square little bit of a tail that's in the back. So it's cool, I'm so happy that you know your bird so well. Looks one of the beetles approaching it. It's now a meal. So this is what this bird is doing, specialize moving. They usually, perch up in trees, one of the branches, and they only come down when they spot something. But whatever it is, they're trying to get out. Well, it's quite hard for that bird to actually kill it. But it's trying harder to get its last meal for the night. Not sure what kind of beetle's that yet. Can be one of their stick beetle as well, or stinky beetle that is always crawling around here, especially just after the rain and things like that. And the parents should be around. And they're one of the noisy birds. They actually have very beautiful call when they do that. color. Correct. So both the male and the female, they're beautiful, same color. They have all about 7 different color bird on them. So, but they only see the beautiful lilac under the throat there, and the rest of the other color you see all mixed up. But then, yeah, they comes pretty much beautiful bird around here, all year round. They don't migrate. So male and female look the same. Only the difference is that the male is slightly smaller than the female, bigger. And that you only tell that when they're together. And then when they do that kind of display, usually male would play that kind of flight up to the sky. And that's where they get their name from, roller. It's a few species of roller. But these that don't migrate at all, they stick here all year round. It's getting pretty much comfortable here. Or dust bathing as well. It's included in this kind of dusk and dawn. The sun going down shortly. Many birds would do that. Franklin would do that. Guinea fowls would do that. They use sand, soft sand, to be able to get rid of the parasite on their skin. And many birds like this, they don't actually, they could help each other trying to get rid of insects from one another, like ticks and things like that, but not quite often. So they will use a lot of these dust baths. Looks like there's quite a lot of confusion here. So what you see, if it was a full grown, you would see like a ragged tail right in the end. So the tail is kind of like a separate apart. Each side has got its little feather separated, but length pretty much feather wide off, longer than that. I never actually seen birds get close to the vehicle like this, you know. Could that sometimes, many of these young ones, they never recognize the danger yet, really. So yeah, this was really cool. So I'm going to carry on. I'm on search here. So I'm going to search around since the sun's going down. Hopefully that leopard come out for us.
An ever-increasing part of the global population is losing its connection with nature. Wild Earth is here to reduce people's stress and anxiety, allowing you to escape into nature even just for a few hours a day. However, Wild Earth is expensive to run, and we need help from you to keep this ship going. Wild Earth Explorers gives you the opportunity to be part of a program that supports the sharing of nature with the world.
Jumbo, my name is Isaac Rotich. I come live to you every day from the Mara Triangle in Kenya, East Africa. I think the most underrated animal here where we are is the spotted hyena. And the main reason is people haven't read any literature to fully understand about this super predator.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Wild Earth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special Wild Earth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a Wild Earth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
We couldn't bring ourselves to leave him quite so soon. He's been such a gentleman. He's very much showing off now, in case you can't already see that. And he's just very gentle. He can hear us, he can see us, he can smell us. He would have felt the vibrations of the car. There's absolutely no way he's not aware of our presence. And he's just a very relaxed, comfortable bull. He did drop some dung though, which is great. There might be some exciting flies swooping in. As a general rule of thumb, elephants do tend to be a lot more relaxed in summer. Food is plentiful. Not only is it plentiful, it's the best, it's the most nutritious, it's delicious. Water's everywhere, nothing is limited, nothing is stressful. Jerome, yes. 100%. If only we could do that, huh? They're unselective bulk feeders, so they go for quantity over quality. And they've got such a poor digestive system. You can see that immediately when you look at their dung. And that's why they just need to eat. It's all about quantity rather than being selective in quality. And that's due to their roaming lifestyle. They only digest about 40% of what they eat. So it's inefficient. And therefore, they've just got to keep eating in order to meet their nutritional requirements. So yeah, they feed a lot. They'll also push over trees to get to that cambium layer. They'll take leaves of trees. They'll eat grass. They love marulas. I remember last year we were desperate for some marulas, and we had to get there first before the elephants, or there would be none left for taking. The elephants hoovered up all the marulas before we even got the chance. We're having a marula-flavoured Christmas dinner this year. Marcel's cooking. So I can imagine it's going to be delicious. He uses the bark, though, and not the fruit, thank goodness. Double H, what a great question, because it's not entirely normal, is it? In most placental mammals, including males of our own kind, humans, the testicles descend. They descend from the abdomen into the lower abdomen or the scrotum during development, or during sort of, when you hit puberty, they get even lower. And it's really important for males in evolution, not just to make you a man, but during sperm production and sperm storage needs to be maintained at a constant temperature. There's actually very special muscles in male testicles that actually bring them closer to the body when a male is cold and take them further away from the body when the male is very hot, so that the insides of the testicles remain exactly at the same constant temperature. Can't go too high, can't go too low, or it will really, really affect sperm production. Now, for elephants, the problem is they don't drop. They're still high up in the abdomen, not the lower abdomen, the abdomen. And that's actually what the word I was saying, testconda or testiconda, refers to. It's not actually inner testicles. What that term means is the lack of testicular descent. They're there where they should be, they're just not descending like they should be. And from what I can gather, there's a group of sort of modern African mammals, and during late evolution, they all display this unique feature where their testicles remain high and they don't go through that testicular drop as most mammals do. And because testicles are soft, they're obviously not preserved in fossil records, so it's quite difficult to determine when this actually happened in evolution. But it's a big debate They don't really know why. You've got to think of the evolutionary advantage. Now, if there's special muscles that keep testicles cool anyway, they constrict and dilate. Why would they stay inside the body? And I'm not entirely sure. I read an interesting article where they went into genetics, and lots of the species out here that show internal testicles are missing the genes that relate to testicles dropping, the descent. They don't have those genes, hence the testicles don't descend. But when it comes to elephants, African elephants, they do have these genes. So why on earth do the testicles stay on the inside? And I'm not sure the answer is conclusive in science, but there has to be some sort of evolutionary advantage for the elephants not to drop their testicles and to keep them really, really high up in the abdomen. Manatees also, the close relatives of elephants, they also don't show testicular descent. The testicles stay near the kidneys. So in answer to your question, I don't really know. I have researched it because it's fascinating. The males' bodies ensure that their prime jewels are kept at a constant temperature, and it must be maintained. It's crucial. Or the sperm dies and it doesn't function properly. And then how can a male reproduce? It's just quite bizarre, and that's what testiconda means. They don't descend. They stay in the same place from birth until adulthood. So somewhere along the lines in placental mammal evolution, there's been a switch, there's been a split, there's been a divide, and something has to have caused that. And I wonder if it is just the location. For an animal of this size, with a really large surface area, and the heat. It maybe wouldn't be wise for the testicles to hang low to keep them cool. Maybe it's better being inside and maintained at a constant temperature always, rather than having to be pulled up by the muscles and let go by the muscles. But in answer, that's a really good question, and I'm not sure. This guy right here knows the answer. I'm going to try and see if we can roll back without putting the engine on, because we're on a slope, and yes we can. He's listening to us. It's still not very good. I'm going to turn the engine on. Oh, no. In reverse. Yeah, now we can see your face. Along the lines of evolution, most adaptations will have a function, they'll have a purpose, a reason why there was a split or a divide or a change or a specialization. And it could be due to environment. If you think about a manatee, also a very large animal, a gorgeous animal that's on my bucket list, it can live in the water. And mammals can lose heat very quickly in a liquid medium. Even when you're scuba diving or snorkeling, we lose heat quite rapidly to the water medium. And therefore, maybe for a manatee, it's also advantageous to have your testicles on the inside so they don't have to do additional work of constantly keeping them up to keep them warm. I'm just guessing here. I think it's got something to do with temperature. Okay, we really are going to leave him now, so I want to see if we can find anything exciting in Buffelshoek. So for now, we're going to send you across to Andrew.
Thanks, Lauren. So we back on our search again. So we're just searching for possible tracks. And then we know, once we find the tracks, we'll know exactly what we're doing. Now we just, it's actually not bad or not difficult to see his tracks, because in this road here, not even a car that drove today or since the rain has come down. So it's quite easy. Unless if maybe just lying down flat, then there it's going to be a little bit harder. But we're in an area where if he ever gets stood up, started to move, we're probably going to find him. And I'm not the only one, so the other guy's also trying on the other side of the road, the other road. This is actually very nice bushes for leopards to hide. And unless if he has a kill, then he's more likely to be up in the trees, or presence of a hyena not to take it away from him. But what we heard from the guys, looks like they were fighting, and the Hukumuru and the Tingana, so each one take its own route. Where Hukumuru have went back west again, and the Tingana, they assume that he crossed into this area because this is where their last visual of him coming into Gari. I checked the road. There's been a lot of cars that drove, but it was no tracks, the last tracks of him coming in. Maybe it's the time that they were trying to follow him when they were still kind of like fighting these two male. Heron, so which is my favorite leopard? My favorite leopard, it's a Tandi the leopard. And then I know these days she's actually in the far east, slightly east into Torchwood. And that's where she's raising her baby there. And then, yeah, that's just my favorite leopard. She actually takes care of her young ones so well. So she don't lose a young one getting killed quite a lot compared to other leopards. I'm not saying that the other leopards are stubborn or they don't take care of the young one. No, is that the Tandi, I think she learned enough from Garula as their mother, and that the danger or how to take care of a young one, since she take care of them when they were younger, until they get into that age where they all just become independent and then started to breed. And of course they did that, we've already seen a lot of their offsprings around. Kalamba, she's still also up in the north where she hasn't shown up yet, whether she maybe hooked up with the male up there or not. Kuchava as well, which is still her daughter, Tandi's daughter, and she's far so southeast of here. That's where she normally been seen. So those one, especially the Tandi, she never get to this. The Kuchava, since she came pretty much independent, she never get around here anymore. Since you got a steenbok here. Thanks, Johan. Yeah, this is a steenbok, one of the antelope that they're very rare. They're never actually static. The steenbok, Steenb, okay, steenbok, and they're one of the antelope that they are often, they're monogamous. And there's a system where males would be around, but away from the females. Sometimes they're together when there's a mating. And then it says that sometimes it happens, male will dominate more than one female in the area. This is actually a young male. Look at this horn, about to, already up, but not sharp length up yet. Enough. They still need to be slightly up, more than that. So these are the animals that they always, when you see them alone, so their own defense is that as they move around alone a lot of time, they, wherever they defecate or urinate, so they scrape the ground, defecate or urinate, cover again, so to get rid of their own smell that nobody would know they're around. Or steenbok is actually stone, means rock, but stone means stone or stonebok. That's an Afrikaans word. Usually what happened when they see a danger, when they see a leopard or lions coming from the way distance, and they know for sure they haven't spotted yet, they go down flat and they pretend like a stone or rock. A lot of time I've seen a wild dog run across past them with a full speed and not seen them. So that's actually their self-defense. But it's gone this way. So steenbok. So I'm gonna carry on. I'm not sure if there's anything hunting that steenbok around here yet. But you never know. That's why we won't look. I'll be surprised one day, finding that Tingana is actually bigger male already. So he's not that leopard who would run around so much, like doesn't have that energy of this youngest anymore. So he's a fully grown male. So for him getting pushed out of here is that Osana also is started to dominate up in the west, which he give trouble to Hukumuru, so Hukumuru give trouble to Tingana. So I'm gonna link you to Lauren with their dung.
Now, Simon, please calm down. I know you're very, very excited to see these flies, but just contain your excitement. He's overjoyed. We found our flies. Now, it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I'm just going to explain a little bit about their biology, and I'll get it over with nice and quickly because it's fascinating. Not many people like flies, and it's completely understandable why. But just let's take it from a human perspective. Imagine you are walking through a forest and you can taste all the delicious fruits and berries under your feet. Or you're walking through the bush and you can taste the sweet, ripe marulas. That's exactly what houseflies do. They taste with their feet. Talk about an umwelt of a fly being completely out of our realm. But they're really hypersensitive, and apparently they're 100 times more sensitive to sugar than we are with our tongues. I'm not a big fan of sugar, but the minute you touch it, it's very sweet. Now, times that by 100, and that's how sensitive a housefly is. However, there's some disadvantages from getting sugar highs. They don't have teeth or any other equipment to eat solid food. Just like butterflies, they have a proboscis, so they're doomed eternally to a liquid diet. And how can they land on your bread? Why do they land on your toast or your croissant or your delicious salad when they can't eat it? Why bother ruining your meal? Well, what they do is they have very specific digestive enzymes in their belly that they regurgitate. Lovely. So on your food, when they land, if it's solid, they regurgitate their own gastric juices, shall we say, and it melts it down, breaks it down, turns it into liquid, and they can suck it up using the straw that is in fact a proboscis. Now that's really fascinating. However, for us humans, it means that the bacteria from the fly's last meal, and look at what they're swarming on now. Yes, dung, scat. Not so pleasant, but that means the bacteria from the fly's last meal, whatever it is, may end up on your food. And that's exactly why humans really don't like houseflies. They have incredibly poor table manners and a very varied diet. So it can go from dung right through to your salad or your toast. So they're not actually dangerous themselves, but it's quite comparable to almost used syringes or used needles. That's how much they can spread bacteria and spread infection. So although we're looking at them right now, that's exactly what flies are doing when they land on your food. I know, not so pleasant. The sort of proboscis that they use is like a vacuum cleaner. and they suck up the liquid. And that's how they feed, so they can hoover up any yummy soup that they like. Now, I think we've stared at this dung pile, well, for long enough now. Are you over your excitement, Simon? He gave me the thumbs up. Okay. That means I can bumble on. Simon's had his fly fix for today. But in all seriousness, again, it's a really unique specialisation. Lazy boy, as far as I'm aware, there's lots of different types of flies. I was being a little bit general there. As far as I'm aware, they have a very short life cycle, similar to butterflies. I think a year or two, and you will not see a fly live longer than that, but I could be wrong. And you're welcome to prove me wrong. But I think in order to appreciate insects, even the ones that give us the heebie-jeebies or the creepy crawlies or that feeling, you just force yourself to learn a little bit about them. A little bit about their biology and how they survive, being so minuscule. What are they doing? Why are the flies landing on my food? I'm sure many people have asked that question. Why? I don't want the fly near my food, but that's actually why, because they can liquefy your foods to get it in their stomachs. Unbelievable. So they can eat solid food. So, evolution came up with a unique specialization and adaptation for that. Yes, they can eat solid food, just not with teeth and not with normal jaws that a human would expect.
We've got Madachia on Gowrie Main, just to the western side of Rhino Coastline.
We're going to turn around. I don't know if any of you understood that. But the mad dashers, the dashing dogs have been found. So we're going to try and see if we can catch them. I know it's the Pungwe pack. Are you ready for a Ferrari Safari? We're quite far out, to be honest with you, but I'll give it my best shot. Simon has not been on a Ferrari Safari yet. So here we go. I need to swerve all the dung piles. There's lots of life living in those dung piles. This way. Yes, sorry, I'm just getting my bearings. And I am going to do my very best to try and catch up with these mad dashers for you all.
Right, so we've driven quite a distance from where you were last with us. We're now in the central parts of the reserve. I haven't seen too much, but I think we might have been distracted by these beautiful clouds. We're going to take a moment and just listen to the sounds. Lots of birds you could hear in the background there. There was a barred owlet calling, Woodland Kingfisher, some doves, crickets as well. You know, we don't like getting wet on game drive in summer, but these thunderstorms do produce the most beautiful sunsets.
Alright, so we We have checked few roads already, and we haven't yet come across his tracks. Oh, it's a beautiful bird calling here. Oh, but there's a red-crested cormorant that instrumental call was happening. But if I can get a visual so I can show everyone. Sometimes they can be very much well camouflaged bird, but they do that call and they fly up. And they pretend like they've been shot when they come down with their wings fold. And they only spread them when they're about maybe 5 meter or 10 meter before the ground, and they land. So yeah, I don't see anything, I don't see any tracks, but it could happen that, many times when they threaten the leopards, maybe they don't have a choice. They won't use roads quite often, and they will move through the bushes, sometimes spend a lot of time in a thicket not to come out until it's okay for them to do that. And then I'm not sure if that fight, how long was it? So it happened, maybe he didn't actually get enough. He might maybe want to follow up on that Hukumuri if it's a chance, or Hukumuri follow up on him. So between the two. So I'll check this quarantine later on. This is where I'm going to be checking around, because from that last position, it's a direction when if he would come far this way. Creston. So I'm not sure how old is Hukumuri, but he's fully grown. So we're looking at an older male. So usually when we say older leopard, is anything from, if it's a male, maybe 9 years, 8 years. And they tend to live shorter because of the fight. Oh, male elephant. Johan, sorry everyone. So yeah, that's average lifespan for male leopard. So 9.5 or 8 years, somewhere there roughly. So we got these actually bull elephants here, which is also spending his own time, feeding around. So I'm gonna be spending time with him for now. If there's any chances that a leopard is around, or we may get lucky, maybe spotted by any other antelopes, which we might actually have a call or a warning sound from other prey species, then we'll know for sure that they might seen him. So what we'll do, we're going to drive into that area. And this bull elephant is not stopping for us at all. It's probably behind the whole herd, and they're all just kind of the male, these typical separate from the female. Sometimes you find them get around as 8 bull together, and then for them it's easy to separate apart. One can be maybe 500 yards or 100 yards apart from one another. And in that case, they do communicate, and this is how to work. Even they're so far apart, but communication, they do travel far enough they can able to hook up again, or even tell which direction they are moving if they ever come across their scent where the other herd moved through. So I'm sure we've bumped on him on the other side. It's actually a very good time of year where elephants Ryan. So I'm sure you mean the elephant. Yeah, so they started to grow their tuskers before. So anything from 8.5 to 9 a month, over 10 months, they started to show up the tuskers and the elephants. So we're going to move slightly forward. Sure, we surprise him. Maybe he feels sorry that, the whole marula trees is down, and then I won't blame him if that marula is down like that. They often push any tree down. But when it comes to marula trees, which is their favorite, it produces beautiful fruit during the fruiting time, where it's anything, from, February, March. That is going to be a time for these marula fruits to ripe. Well, I haven't actually seen a lot of these fruits up in these trees yet. So maybe it's because of the season. Sometimes some season you got a lot of these marula fruits. Some season you got a less. Oh yeah, so Hokumuri was born in 2013 according to the viewers. So yeah, that's very good to hear that. So yeah, also I was not too sure, Hokumuri only come in, he was actually grown up when he comes into an area. And then from the west, where then I think they ever give each other a go between him and Mr. Anderson. And then from there, Hokumuri pushed so much further this way, where you bump on, or he was pushing Tingana, trying to get into this area where Tingana had, and that time, and then he win this area from Tingana the male. So this generation and generation take places in terms of dominance. It's actually come far away from far away, where you want to start from Mafufunyan males, and then Mafufunyani is one of the little, he was not nervous, but names Mafufunyan means, kind of like mean, somebody who is mean, always looking at you like very angry face, Mafufunyan. And after that, Mafufunyan, we saw Jordan came in. And when Jordan came in, and then afterwards, Tingana also came in after Jordan. And then, so not so Vula came in, and then from Vula, Tingana. So we see now Hokumuri again, the head of a guy called Mlowate also, which is, I haven't actually met him yet, so I can't wait to meet him. Maybe spend now a time with our Talamba prince in somewhere else, I'm not sure, up north. It's beautiful, so he's loving it so much. And that tree, lazy boy. So you want to know how many teeth do the elephant have? So they have, so during their lifetime they would have 6 sets of molar each, canine top and bottom, so each side, and then from there they grew. There can be about 24 of teeth they have. So, but also these is to actually the premolar they have, which are able to grind food every now and then, so they need them. So that's why when we're looking at the young bull, he's probably 20 of them, but if you have extra more at the far end inside, where when he's anything from over 30, 38, 40 years from there, this is to sustain his life. Understand, this animal, they always stand up, feed all the time, and they need, without these molars, and they won't survive. That's why, some area where they talk about the elephant graveyard, where these animals go very old, and once they know for sure in their life that, just a moment of a silent lion roaring. Sorry about that. I don't know if you're able to hear, but the far away, probably that male lion we saw this morning, or the other one. And I'm gonna leave this male here, so I'm gonna send you over to Lauren. She's also on search for wild dogs.
Bear with me, everyone. I think we've made it. There's another vehicle here, but Typical madness, typical wild dog sighting. Oh, I just said it out loud. I was keeping it a surprise from Simon. Thank you. I don't know what he sees. This is a perfect time for dogs to get mobile. Really, really perfect. It's cool. It's hunting time. Got a lot of mouths to feed. They're here somewhere. Don't worry. Just give me a minute. You can normally hear them calling as well. Something like that. Ah, yes. Simon's very excited. Yeah, go, go, go. Simon has been absolutely desperate to, like me to go closer, to see wild dogs, and it's his birthday tomorrow. So this is your birthday present, Simon. I saw one. I don't want to drive too fast. Where did you go? This way. Okay, Simon can see it. Let's go. Let's go. I feel like we're on a bit of a wild goose chase at the moment. The pack are here. I don't know how many puppies they still have. I've not seen them since being on leave. I know they originally had 12, it went down to 11, and then I think it went down to 10. There's one with a broken leg, or what appears to be a broken leg, and it's limping, but it really manages to keep up with the pack. I don't know how many puppies still remain, but they've done really well to get this far. So they're here somewhere. I just need to... Sam, generally the Canidae family, which has 34 extant species, including your wolves, your foxes, your wild dogs, your Ethiopian wolf, they generally hunt by coursing. Now, if you look at their bodies across the board, and I'm generalizing here, they have sort of slender bodies and long legs. They're not robust and muscular like lions are. And that sort of is your key giveaway that they're going to hunt by coursing. And what that means is run, 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 outrun your prey. Either get them from exhaustion, collapse, or catch up with them. Wild dogs can reach remarkable speeds and, well, disembowel them right there and then. So yes, across the Canidae family, across the board, they hunt by coursing. And the Falkland Island wolf recently went extinct. That is your last canid member that sadly lost its place on Earth. What do you see, Simon? I think he's spotted them. I don't see anything.
Just move forward a bit. Just drive forward a bit.
You want me to go forward?
Yeah, just go forward a bit.
You know what? I think they've just split and they're absolutely running everywhere. I'm not entirely sure our luck is going to be in tonight. They were on Cheetah Plains. We can't traverse Cheetah Plains, and they've obviously woke up and... yeah. I think I'm going to do a big U-turn again and look up and down this road. And if we really, really don't see them, I think we may have to give up. We're losing light and we don't stay with wild dogs in the dark anyway. It's a sort of rule of thumb, even although we use the infrared light. It's just a rule of thumb not to stay with diurnal animals. Okay, I'm going to do my best for you all, and hopefully the next time you see us, we'll have some doggies and I will not stall, but for now, across to Andrew.
Good luck, Lauren. Hope we find them again, these dogs. They always run around too much, especially when it comes to this cool off of a day. And we here are still looking around. Hopefully, we're hoping to find the leopard tracks here, since we're also on search for Dingana around here. So it will be very nice to find him so we can spend time with him. It's been a while actually since I think we haven't spotted him, or he hasn't been around. And he spent a lot of time up in Manyeleti. But when he comes back, it's amazing how we missed that. How did he travel far west without any one of us seeing his tracks cross over to the west? But he's probably did it during that rain, and they're trying to, try his luck. So he's pushing too much up in the... Right. So leopards, they're not active so much in the evening. When I want to, also during the day, depending on what they're doing. So if it's a cooler cloud, also makes a lot of a chance for them to be able to get to move, hunt when they're hungry. So especially when the female take her cubs away from the different spot to another, or where she lead them to the kill, you see leopards move during the day, hot of the day sometimes. But they prefer night when they hunt, because this is where it's cool for most cats, or they rely on the dim of a light where it's darkness take places, and then we're able to move through without any being spotted. So when they move during the day, it's actually waste a lot of time, because a lot of time they miss up whatever they're trying to hunt, because they come very much visible. And these prey species such as impalas and those steenbok and the grey duikers and those, they have a great sense of eyesight as well during the day. So they will easily spot the leopard or sense sometimes, and eventually they move away. But at night, where it's dark, and they can be able to do their best of sneak through or crawl on the floor to get close enough to the prey species. But more success when it's wind and raining, because these species of prey species they already get confused, not knowing what's going on around them. So they run around finally. And that's how the leopard win sometimes, or even lions prefer windy or rainy time to be able to hunt. But remember, when it's wind, they have to approach the wind so they can smell anything in front of them. So that's what the actual hunting technique, it built up with a very much great experience, depending on where that animal has grew up, which bride, if it's a lion, or if it's a leopard, which female was it. Especially mother would teach the young one to hunt well when they were young, where male was a father won't teach them, because more likely not to spend a lot of time with them. You only check for a safety if it's not coming in or not. This is a safety for a male to support the cubs, grow up, survive. But they don't actually cooperate in helping feeding them with the meat, not at all. So I haven't actually seen any tracks here. Well, the road is actually very nice and clear, which if it's ever tracks, won't miss it. Probably going to spot it. And now we're going to be actually using the light, my spotlight, as well as as well as an IR, that word we're going to be operating with soon. So I'm going to be sending you over quickly.
And we did it. They're on the move, the Pungwe pack. And boy, do they smell. Can you smell that, Simon? This is probably the only visual that we're actually going to get of them, to be perfectly honest with you. They're running very far east. Our signal will drop. But at least we got to see them. Look at them go. The smell is like very bitter, acidic, strong urine. It's delightful. And you can smell it from miles away. So this will be the only visual. But isn't that lovely? Highway of dogs. You got your dog, Simon. Took a little bit of effort. He'd never been on a Ferrari Safari before. But it was worth it. I'm trying to pick out the limping one, but it's really, really difficult. You see what I mean by their body shape? Oh. Naughty Peter. That might be the last. That's okay, Simon. You can put your camera up. I think that will be the last visual of them, I'm afraid. But if you see what I mean by the body shape, long sausage-like bodies and long legs, very slender, very lean, flexible for running. They can't be weighed down, or they won't be able to run so fast. Okay, that was our wild dogs for today. I'm going to sit here and try to get my breath back.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle, and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque, just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effects down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the number one aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
So we found a nice group of zebras, or a dazzle of zebras, some of them coming back into the shot now. They just disappeared behind this bush just before you guys came to us. And they're in a nice clearing, and there's a nice little water hole next to them as well. A couple of them were drinking as we arrived. Looks like that young foal's also going down for a drink now. There are lots of flies as well as alates around us. You can see the zebras trying to chase them away. Look at the tail of that youngster. So these are plains zebras. And one of the distinguishing features, if we zoom in a little bit closer to any one of them, if you look at the rump, you'll notice those lighter stripes, or the almost greyish stripes between the dark or the black stripes, the shadow stripes as we call them. And that's one of the distinguishing features of the plain zebra. And they all have a unique stripe pattern. Makes them quite special. One of my favorite things to look at on a zebra, while we're looking at the face now, is that they've got this diamond shape on the face. Oh. So if he turns and looks to us, you'll see how the stripes go out towards the eyes and then comes back towards the muzzle. It looks like a diamond on the face. Looks like he's feeding on the short grass there. You can see the diamond. Everybody loving their mohawks. I also like the mohawks. It's nice how the stripes extend into those mohawks, eh? And they're all looking quite healthy. The mohawks, as you guys are calling it, are standing up nice and straight. Apparently that's one of the first signs when a zebra's not doing too well. Those mohawks will droop over to the side. So usually in a herd like this, there'll probably be one stallion and then a bunch of mares and their foals. Oh, look at this zebra that we're looking at here. I didn't notice it because we're in infrared now, but on his side, he's actually got an enormous cut. Look at that. So there where the skin is twitching like that, trying to chase the flies away. They're obviously attracted to that wound, but there is a very, very large cut all along this side. So he probably escaped the claws of a predator somewhere. It's a very, very long wound. All the way from the spine down to the belly. Looks like the stallion. Now the fights between these stallions can be quite brutal. You know, they usually kick and bite each other, and they can really injure each other quite badly, but that does not look like a wound sustained by fighting with another zebra. In the back. Yeah, I also initially thought it was mud, but unfortunately it looks like a wind. You know, these animals are very resilient, so I think he'll be fine. Actually quite a lot going on. Bika was just saying, you can see, we can't see it on screen now, but you can hear two stallions fighting in the background. They're just further in the distance. And yeah. Yeah, we've actually got some elephants coming in behind us as well. Let's just see. They might come to the same waterhole that the zebras, which is that. Some more zebras there. Let me just... Shall I quickly turn, BK? Let's see. They just snuck up on us. Right behind us in the road. Look at that. A whole herd. Some youngsters there. See, that was about a 3 to 4 year old that just crossed. You can just hear them feeding as they're moving through the shrubs here. And they often still feed into the night, sometimes late into the night. Look how they're smelling, lifting their trunks up as they're crossing the road here. There is quite a lot going on around us at the moment. So these elephants crossing, I think there are 2 different groups of zebras. There were wildebeests that crossed in the back as well. Impalas on the other side. Was that all of them? There are the zebras again. Yeah, they do look quite spooky. At least they just crossed. They didn't come towards us. See, the zebra's just feeding there. This is quite a nice area. There's a lot of nice green grass here. Lynn, is infection a potential problem for the zebra? In some cases, yeah, it depends how big the wound is. But, you know, I've seen animals out here with massive wounds and I've seen them recover. So, like I said, they're quite resilient. So I think that zebra will be fine. I hope he'll be fine. I don't think he'll struggle too much. Unless he meets more lions somewhere. I think we'll continue. It sounds like these elephants are moving around us. Let's just quickly see. I don't want them to sneak up on us again. Oh, here we go. Just see them there. You can see as they're picking the grass as they're moving through here. So this is what they do most of the day. So they're on their feet for almost 20 hours of the day, just feeding. As you probably know, they've got really poor digestive system, so most of what they eat just goes straight through. And in summer, they mostly feed on grass. It's, you know, it's easy to get. And it's nice and soft as well. And there's lots of it. Hammond, when do elephants sleep? So you sometimes find them resting in the heat of the day. So you'll see them in the shade somewhere. I've seen big bulls resting with their heads like against a big tree or leaning against a termite mound. Sometimes you'll see the adults just standing and the youngsters will just be laying down. So yeah, often during the day. I mean, sometimes at night they'll also sleep, but yeah, not for very long. You'll find that sometimes when they're feeding, you'll see them resting their legs as well because they don't sleep for that long. So you'll see them crossing their legs over whilst they're feeding, excuse me. Or just lifting the one leg, also resting it. Looks like they've moved off, so we'll continue as well. See what else we can find. Right, we're going to send you off to Djuma. See what Andrew has there.
Good luck, Murray. So, we haven't gotten any luck yet, so looking around here, hopefully we get to see something. But yeah, not luck yet with our leopard. Just gonna be now stopping, listening into this bubbling Cassina the frog. frogs are going to be going about, calling out all night. These are called bubbling casino. It's actually, they're bubbling, as you can hear all of the sound that they're doing. And then there's a lot of a rain frog as well. Those are going very other different sound. They're smaller sound compared to these one. But I was trying to see if I can get one which is, maybe I cannot see one right now. There's also a few of a species of a painted reed frog, which is more likely find them in well-developed ponds and things like that. So I'm not getting luck of seeing any one of these. So we're going to move forward. There's no luck yet with our leopard, so I'm going to be working around quarantine just to see what is in there. Otherwise, we'll keep trying, you know, until we find what we're looking for. Now, if we don't find where he is, he's probably still sleeping wherever he is until he decided to come out. Maybe we'll be all gone. We never know what he's up to right now. He can't be on a mood of hunting unless if it's a chance that he come across something very close for him to hunt. So I'm going to be sending you over to Lauren again on a search.
So we're well and truly back on Djuma, looking for nocturnal animals with our spotlights. Now in tow, wild dogs, two hyenas. I didn't manage to get ID, I'm afraid, but it just shows you the wild dogs are moving. I wouldn't say running, but gallivanting. It's such a fast pace, and the hyenas are behind. And it's because they know exactly that. Not necessarily that they can steal from them, although they'll try. Wild dogs are messy hunters. They tear apart their prey. They sort of all eat at once and lots of bits and pieces, which is not so pleasant to think about. It goes everywhere, really. So it benefits the hyena to follow the wild dogs, and it definitely will not be difficult with that odour. As highly olfactory predators, hyenas can follow scents that are 3 days old. 3 days old. And therefore, following wild dogs will be very, very easy for them. I think if I had to choose, and I'm definitely biased, I know that, prefer the smell of a compared to dogs, especially the cub of those hyena cubs, but wild dogs, definitely. Not pleasant.
All right, cool. So I know for sure we're in now. We just found the elephants, but they're not really well relaxed for us. So we're trying to put infrared light, see if we can, little one, have a look at these. Yeah. It's actually a nice brooding herd of elephants, so that they're not actually aware of our presence. The minute we approach, they were threatened. It's because I had taken a very sharp corner, so I was almost approaching them so hard. But I'm sure they will be fine again. This female we're seeing right now, she's got a few of a baby that is actually following her always. But Doesn't mean that it's belonged to all of them. So it's all elephants around here. It's probably, it happens they were playing together. And I'm gonna roll forward. You okay there, Johan? Cool. So yeah, we still got them here. Looks like I say, you know, they are everywhere here. So both side of the roads. And this is how they're going to be foraging through the night. They will do this non-stop and just carrying on and on. Search for their grasses. In fact, they do a lot of or less destruction right now this time of year, where it's a lot of grasses available, plants available. So it's all about pushing one another over here, what I saw. Veronica, so you want to know how safe it is to be close to the elephant. Sometimes it can't be safe enough, depending on the behavior of those particular herds of elephants you approached. But here, it looks like we kind of like surprised them. And then from there, they were kind of like maybe they heard a car coming in because it's a petrol car. And then they keep hearing quite a lot of these, but they were not probably expecting any closest enough for that because it was kind of a sharp corn. So then they were so surprised and they're all just not happy. But again, they're cool off, they're fine. So it can't be safe sometimes if you don't understand the elephant's behavior. And it happened a lot in this national park where we drive ourselves around. You finally find yourself in the middle of a herd of elephants, and then you enjoy them, take pictures, realize that they can be sometimes all surround car, but it's not that they wanna, push your car or anything. It's because they're just gonna move off or they're feeding around you. And the minute you start the car, this is where you're gonna threaten them all. And for their own defense, these females with their young one, they were so much concerned of your noises, or maybe somebody's trying to steal them. So it can't be safe sometimes if in that kind of situation. But now it's fine, our road is clear and they all just move off the road, doing their own things in there. Elephants, they're a dangerous animal, and they're way too big for sure. So we watch them with a huge respect we pay to that behavior. We always have to check, even when you approach the herd, you always make sure they are all fine with them, with your company. Because quite a lot of different herds in different reserves where they're treated different sometimes, where some in the national park where they don't get close enough to the vehicles. If they're in this private game reserve where we're at right now, where we off-road and things like that, and you see different behavior, those elephants you can not only the elephants, even the animal from Kruger National Park, there's a difference in there. So I'm going to leave them. I'm sending you over to Marne.
So we've just found a little spider busy constructing his web. So if you have a look or close look at that spider, you'll notice that he's got a large green abdomen. So these are called green pea spiders, which I think is a really nice descriptive name for this spider. It kind of does look like he's got a pea on his back. And it's one of the orb web spiders, so they make round webs. And at the moment we're seeing a lot of them. They're making their their webs, casting their webs across the roads, and then flying or finding and catching all these termites that are flying around. He's actually got quite a few things that are stuck in the web at the moment. Looks like he just went back to something that was stuck in the middle there. There's also something at the bottom. We can't see exactly what it is, but it looked like he was feeding on that when we just arrived. So we usually only see them at night. At night they come out, they make their webs, and then they pack the webs up again in the morning. It's amazing to see how quickly he moves. It looks like he's rolling that, whatever that insect is. He's rolling it up, he's covering it in silk. Oh, he's moving it to the middle of web, I think. Working incredibly quickly. It might be a beetle of some sort. And as you can see, these little spiders mostly feed on insects. How incredible is that? Jean, is this a male or a female spider? As far as I know, with these green pea spiders, the males and the females look the same. Generally, with a lot of the spiders, you know, the females will be a lot bigger compared to the males. But as far as I know, with these guys, they look the same. It's a beautiful little spider, like I mentioned, that green abdomen. And if you look closely, you'll see he's also got red legs. So I guess if you don't like spiders, maybe it's not that beautiful. Might be quite a creepy looking little thing then. Oh, he's really going to town on that little beetle. We actually had one that was hitching a ride on our aerial for quite some time, and that's how we decided to look for another one. See if we could find one. There are so many of them around at the moment. We had accidentally driven through his web on the road. Still spinning it around. All right, sounds like we're going to go over to someone else. All right, we'll probably go.
I just checked the hyena den. I raced there, but I think it's just a bit too late. Once it gets really, really dark, like it is now, the moms and the adults, it's time for them to get on their way and, wow, see what they can find for the night. And normally, once all the adults leave, normally the cubs pop back inside. So no one was there, I'm afraid. So we're trying to look for chameleons. Now, chameleons are diurnal, they're not nocturnal. But the reason we find them during the night is because they're so camouflaged during the day, they're not so easy to see, they look like a great big leaf. And two, they reduce their metabolic activity at night time, as most reptiles do. Their solar... Sorry, everyone. I just choked on my own word. Well done, Lauren. Everyone just saw you do that. Let's try again. They reduce their metabolic activity and therefore they change colour. They go very, very light. They go white, actually. And therefore they shine really brightly. It's almost if they're glowing in the spotlight. Now, I don't like spotlighting chameleons, and I won't do that, but obviously we find them via the spotlight, and then we can view them in infrared. And it's not that they're nocturnal and they're more active. No, it's the complete opposite. They're not active at all. It's just that their color change. They change color. They're really good at changing color. Not as good as octopus, but they're good. And that causes them to go a sort of really pale, whitish, yellow color. And that's why they change color.
Right, so we decided to stay with the spider. As we wanted to leave, another one of those alates actually flew into the web. So we're going to stick around for a few more minutes. So it looks like he's still busy with that beetle. And, you know, he moved that beetle from the bottom of the web. And he started spinning it around and wrapping it in silk when it was still at the bottom there. And doing that makes it a lot easier for them to transport that insect. So he probably won't eat that insect whole. You can see it's actually even bigger than, it's bigger than the spider itself. So usually they'll expel like digestive enzymes. And it's almost like they liquefy the insect they're eating. He's got a lot to eat though. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 insects in the web at the moment. I think we're also attracting a few insects to his web tonight because of this light here. So we're doing him a bit of a favor. Unlucky for the other insects, I guess. Minamu, is this spider venomous? As far as I know, they're pretty much harmless. I mean, they could probably bite you, and maybe it will hurt a little bit, but it's not of medical importance. So you'll be okay. Whoa. How incredible is that? So as that other insect just flew into the web, he went down and immediately wrapped it. Just obviously he didn't want it to get away. He keeps doing that now. A lot more things getting stuck in the web. So it's almost like he just immobilizes it before it gets away. And he's back to the middle. Oops. I'm getting a lot of insects attracted to this light here as well. So I think that's why he's so busy now. It's amazing to see how quickly he moves from one insect to the other. And BK doing a really good job at keeping up with him. He's moving really fast. Well, one thing is for sure, he's definitely not going to go hungry tonight. There is more than enough to eat. Sure, I wish I ate termites. I'm covered in them at the moment because of the spotlight. What an incredible sighting. And I think we've had an even more incredible evening, an afternoon drive. Thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to see you in the morning for another live safari.
Is advised.
Good morning to all of our viewers around the world, and welcome to excuse me, sorry, and welcome to And Beyond Ngala. We are here currently watching this emerald spotted wood dove, and it's feeding on the ground, moving around, and